The integrity of Australia's higher education sector depends on managing student attrition rates. Based on the Department of Education and Training University Attrition Data Rate Set, we saw the average rate of attrition increase from 2009 after the removal of caps on university places. Tertiary institutions may have been bolstering their revenue by increasing enrolment, but it was at the cost of accepting students with a higher likelihood of dropping out. So, if knowledge is power, we want to take advantage of this data set. Our project uses this data to explore the characteristics that indicate attrition rates in students, as well as looking at areas of study, and we've mapped them all out in a visualization. Firstly, the average attrition rate across all higher education dropouts between 2005 and 2013 was around 19%. This rate was at its lowest in 2009 at 18%, and it peaked in 2013 at almost 21%. We developed an interactive line graph to show the peaks and troughs across different student characteristics. The top 3 characteristics of students likely to drop out of higher education are studying part-time, studying by distance, and being Indigenous. In all of these cases, around 33 in 100 students would drop out. The top 3 characteristics of students less likely than average to drop out were having an ATAR over 70, coming from a non-English speaking background, and studying full-time. In all of these cases, fewer than 17 students out of every 100 would drop out. This is a very simple analysis of the data, but in order to be able to go further, we need a bit more information. For example, we need to consider the compound effect of having multiple negative or positive characteristics. Indigenous students might be more likely to live in areas that aren't close to universities, which compounds the likelihood that they're going to drop out of higher education. We've created a visualisation of dropout rates across local government areas and a map that shows where Australian universities are. It's not surprising to see that students in metropolitan areas are more likely to complete their degrees. Different study areas were also a factor. There were different rates for each area, which we've visualised on another interactive chart. Higher education providers can use this information to see which student cohorts need the most support. For example, engineering and health have both had a consistently low attrition rate, so higher education providers should maintain entry requirements and the support available for the students. Society and culture has always had an above average attrition rate, and since 2007, education students have become more likely to drop out. Providers should consider focusing on these students that choose to study these areas, and maybe even reconsider entry requirements. Attrition is expensive and disruptive for both students and providers. Students are left with an education debt regardless of whether or not they finish the course, and the higher education providers have spent money enrolling and educating the students. It's really in everyone's best interest so that reduce the causes of attrition and make sure that higher education remains valued in our community.